Welcome to the Think Holistic Podcast by Indy Holistic Hub, a show designed to help you on your wellness journey. When you think holistic, you live holistic. Find out more at indyholistichub.com. Now, here's your host, Jennifer Seffrin.
Hello, everybody. It is a great day to think holistic. I am super excited. I'm going to try to contain myself today because we have Christine Eartheart on the show with me today, and she is the creator of Joy Potential. Listen to this. Joy Potential helps people awaken true, authentic, and abiding joy by tapping into the greatest technology we'll ever have: the human mind, body, heart, and spirit. Yes, amen. I love that. Welcome, Christine, to the Think Holistic Podcast.
Thank you so much, Jen, for having me here. It is a delight and honor to be here and just so grateful for everything you do.
Oh, likewise. I love this moment that's coming around here right now in 2025. I saw you at Wabash College. I don't know how many years ago it was, but you did a TEDx talk there. And that was my first introduction to you. And I was like, oh, I love her. And we've connected here and there, particularly around Wellbeing Fest, which we're coming up on. We'll share more about that in a little bit. And this year you were like, I'm available. And I was like, yeah. So this has been so fun to have you being part of the magic we're creating for that day on Sunday, November 9th. And we get to talk today and share with folks out there everywhere a bit about you and the joy potential magic that you are going to bring today as well to Wellbeing Fest. So I heard you talk about the fact that you love to call yourself a possibilitarian. And I wanted to start there if we could, because I love that. And I wanted to hear about, how did that come about for you? What's possibilitarian about?
Well, thanks. I'm so excited for Wellbeing Fest. So possibilitarian, I didn't call myself this at the time. And it is something that I am so awed by, is like what's possible and available. And when I look back on my life, it's something that was awoken to me when I was in high school, and I was having a conversation with my mom, and she was sharing these really vulnerable, intimate, mystical experiences that she had, and ones that she doesn't oftentimes share. And I remember being young and just being completely enamored with what she was saying. And in that moment, it was like, oh my gosh, there's so much more possible and available than I ever realized. And it really did awaken something in me. And it's from that moment onward. So then I was raised in a religious family, a loving, beautiful family. And the religion that I grew up in was not one that really resonated. So at that point, I was like, I want that kind of mystical connection. And so I went in the yellow pages, essentially looking for that sort of spiritual connection. And I ended up studying world religions when I was in college. And so it started sort of in a spiritual way of oh my gosh, there's so much more to what we are. And then I've just been devoted, really, even when I was in high school, my entire adult life, to my spiritual practice, which has taken many forms. And it's my daily practice of really turning within and getting a pulse, reflecting on the day before, looking where did fear guide me? Where did love guide me? So many ways that I reflect, and continually knowing that there's a degree to which we all experience so many challenges, and I am not immune to that, and ways that I've created unnecessary suffering. And I am passionate about really minimizing unnecessary suffering for myself and for others, and really maximizing the capacity we have for love, for meaning, for purpose, for aliveness, for joy. And so it wasn't that I set out to how do I experience the greatest joy possible? It was really how do I stay as connected to love as possible? And how do I minimize suffering and use every opportunity to really be part of growth and healing and ultimately service for others. And through that, there was just like a liberation. And what I was like falling in love with was that was available and just wanting to share that with others. And so as I started doing it for a couple of decades now, I've had the great honor of supporting others. And whenever anybody shares kind of where they've come from, it's just like we are so unbound by what has been, but it's really easy for the mind when we're wondering like what's possible. The mind can so easily like go to the past filing cabinet, like, well, has that ever happened before? No, in the past, this happened and I got hurt, or this happened and I let myself down, or well, I haven't seen it happen for somebody else. And so we just continue to like repeat patterns rather than realizing like the rest of the story is completely unwritten. And yeah, having learned so much about, which has been just the greatest gift, learning through the living laboratory of life with others and myself, and then just through study of like really what the human mind, body, heart, and spirit are capable of. And I'm in a wild love affair with that, in service of our, freedom from unnecessary suffering and really opening up to, because the closer we get to joy is really the closer we get to peace, to opening the pathways between us that create understanding and connection. It's all related.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I like to talk about the potentiality that exists. And so when you're talking about, I love that analogy of our greatest technology, but the mind, body, spirit,
Heart.
thank you, heart, and the synergies that are created, the exponential possibilities that emerge from that connectedness, that all that swirling together and serving our greatness. And you're right, through the patterns and stuff, our view becomes a little narrow, and then sometimes we just need a reminder of like, okay, how do I open up to those possibilities? What else is there? So that's beautiful. I love that so much. And you do this in lots of ways. You have different offerings and ways that you walk people through this in a process, right?
Yes.
Coaching and retreats, and what all do you do that way in terms of facilitation? And
Yeah, well, I'm just honored to do kind of healing sessions with people that I really love. I'm doing less of that now, but for 2 decades, I've been so privileged to be part of like thousands of sessions with clients. That really is like whole being, whole brain, really looking at like how do we rewire the mind? How do we access the subconscious and really update and upgrade old imprints and old identities and ways of thinking and being that were just simply a pattern. That's all it was, based on some misunderstandings we picked up. How do we somatically heal? How do we turn the body into like a generator of positive energy spiritually? How do we access a kind of love, whatever it is for anyone, what's sacred to us, that's like bigger than whatever we could experience? How do we use all of our emotions to ultimately guide us back home? So doing sessions that each one just like taught me so much, just truly such a privilege and honor. So lots of being with people in these really intimate, vulnerable spaces, whenever something like wasn't working that they really wanted to have a shift around. And then workshops. So for, well over a decade, maybe 15 years now, I've been teaching this weekend workshop called Awakening Your Joy Potential. And so it's a 2-day retreat and various things. Now I teach a 6-day immersive joy potential coach certification for people that want to really learn the methodology for how to help others rewire the mind, body, heart, spirit for like higher states of being and greater peace and joy. Lead retreats to Bali with my soul sister Matisse. And then my husband and I run the Center for Thriving Relationships. So lots of stuff, really joy in relationships have been my 2 passions. And then women's circles are also near and dear to my heart. I love just coming together with others. I'm always just, dazzled by what happens in like kind of the co-created heart space when everyone's unique gifts and wisdom and perspective gets to be shared and brought together.
yes, I love that too. I love seeing different strengths in people and their abilities and how they just mold together and create this collective whole that's like so amazing. It's like amazing what we can do and how we can support each other in a container, right? That's held truly in the heart, that's authentic and safe for people. I love that about Wellbeing Fest too, is like we have people that with the different talents and strengths, and for somebody to be able to come in and be like, oh my gosh, I'm so thankful I met so and so today. And it's like you hear that one story and you're like, everything's worth it right there, right there. There's always, the ripple's always further than what we realize and what we do. We can easily think like minimize something we've said or how we've had an impact, and it's not minimal, it's huge. So
Beautifully put. And so true. You create so many of those connections, the way that you weave people together and
yeah,
elevate.
and when we all have these talents and abilities, and so even anyone listening in, to encourage them, yes, you are a multifaceted talented being, and so put yourself amongst people who know that, who see that, who honor that, and don't settle for less.
Yes,
um,
yes, yes.
so I know I caught wind that you've been working on a documentary, and I really wanted to talk about that today as well. I know your path is, you've gone through, this path and this journey and these offerings that you've had out in the world. And I love this because it's a showing of the great gifts that have come through you doing what you do, and also through people doing their own work. And so I would love just to share, like, how did this come about? And maybe we can dive a little bit into, like, through the documentary lens, like, what are people experiencing and coming through by awakening the joy within themselves?
Thanks. So, yeah, it was really in a moment of inspiration. My husband and I, we were actually out for a date on our anniversary at the restaurant. We had our first date, and
Oh,
we were just in this inspired place because there are some callings, right, that, are marinating for a while, and then it's the right moment to bring them through. This just came through in a moment, and it was just like listening. And actually, Brett, my beloved, first brought it up. That just came in that moment. And we were just kind of dancing with it that evening. And I was like, well, let me just take it to like prayer and meditation in the morning. And I felt the aliveness. Like it felt right. It felt like it was, I just want to do things that are aligned with love. And so I always like want to do the check, like, can this multiply love in the world? And it doesn't feel right. And so yeah, and then I like reached out to the videographer who I love working with, and I was like, well, if Henry's available, and then Henry was available. So just sort of like, I'm saying this because I imagine people have these experiences where it's like, oh, it just all of a sudden we just like I love to see life as a spiritual scavenger hunt where we don't need to know where it's going. Like all we need is like to get clear, get aligned, like connect with love, and then like listen, like just what is the next clue? And I love to live life like that. And I feel quite devoted to that. Like every day I sit in meditation to get my spiritual assignment of the day. And I'm like, okay, the next thing is just to reach out to Henry. And then it was like one thing, like, okay, what's the next kind of spiritual assignment on this scavenger hunt? And it just like within no time, that was in March, and now we've completed the film. We have the closing ceremony this weekend. So it just took on a life of its own beyond anything I ever could have imagined. I just kept listening and like, all right, I'm all in. I'm like, I'm all in, universe. Like if this can be of service, I'm all yours. And so we put a call out for, initially it was 4 individuals. We ended up having 6 in it, people who are ready for a joy miracle in their life, like something they can tell that there's so much more that's possible and available, and feel weighed down and disconnected from who they truly are on some level. So these 6 individuals, many people, it was just like it moved me deeply to receive all the different video kind of applications that came in. And then it was such a hard decision. And these 6 just felt like they were the right 6 to go through this journey.
wow.
And each of them, their story, I think is, like both heart-wrenching and so heart-opening. And I think people can relate to. So I don't know, do you want to hear just a little snippet of the people in it, or?
Yeah. Oh, I was going to say too, yes, I
Yeah.
do want to hear some of that. I love the spiritual scavenger hunt so much. Like, I love that. I've been um, talking about like life as an experiment and an experience, and it's every day. And you exemplified so well of like anchoring in and being intentional each day with because with the grand percolating possibilities, there are a lot, and some are going to be well aligned and maybe not so much. It doesn't mean they're good or bad. And also taking the time to be like, is this centered with, for you, like, is this centered with my heart and my mission of what I want to do in the world? Yes. Okay, let's go. And it's nice to have those litmus tests for ourselves. And so just even like, okay, I'm on my spiritual scavenger hunt. Let's experiment today. And so people can, if you don't know what that is, people can discover, oh, so this is what my litmus test looks like, you know? So I just wanted to say,
I love it. I resonate so much with it. It like lifts the pressure too, and it's an experiment, or sometimes I'm like, we're just in a living laboratory. Like there's no failures. We're just doing an experiment. Like, let's see what works, what doesn't. And then we just come back again and again and realign over and over to like what we value and who we want to be and how we want to show up and feel, and then just like listen for the next thing. So yes, you are just such a kindred spirit and so beautifully put.
Well, I love these kinds of conversations. So I know I could go on and on about these things. So I appreciate that we get to do this and intermingle with the juiciness of life. So yes, let's also talk about the people, the 6 glorious people that were with you on this documentary journey. I'd love to hear like any ahas you had yourself, and like what was it like for them and their stories.
Yeah. So one of the things around joy, just common misunderstandings and myths, which would be that joy is about having to deny or ignore or resist, like the inevitable, immensity of challenges inside of ourselves and all around the world. I mean, so much. And so these individuals, like really one of the things that they realize is that it just isn't like it gets to coexist with all the other things happening. And so I'll share. So yeah, there are 6 of them. We have one, I don't know if I want to put just like a little trigger warning for anyone out there, should there be anything in here. One of the individuals, when she was young, found that her father had taken his own life, and she was the one that found him. And from that moment shifted into like trying to protect, kind of save everybody else, and forgot herself. And so she's now, in her 30s and realized like everybody else around her, she's made happy, and really denied herself. And I think a lot of people can relate to that, whatever form it takes, right? It's like we're so busy making everyone else happy and bringing them joy, and maybe appear as a joyful person, but in quiet moments, like really suffering. Another individual who's on the path to becoming a priest and ended up experiencing sexual assault by the very man that was mentoring him, the Jesuit priest. And from that moment, he's like, he went on that trip as one person, as this light, and came back a different person, and feels like he's never, that's 20 years ago, feels like he's never reclaimed and returned to who he was before. And so his was like a full, so, April's story, the first woman, it was all about like her reclamation of joy, like true, genuine, abiding joy for herself. Tim's journey was about a reclamation of joy and healing from deep trauma, and creating a whole new story and identity, and who, not only reclaiming like the essence of who he was before that, but like really re-envisioning a whole new world of possibilities that he's stepping into. And Stephen was, he's in a corporate job, identifies as a happy person, but just like slowly over time, which happens. So again, Tim is like, so many people have experienced trauma, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's hard to separate oneself from what has happened to us, and to like really see who we are underneath it all. Stephen was in a corporate job and just like kind of slowly lost his spark over time, and just felt like he disconnected from who he is. And so his was like a reclamation of his light. Another woman, she was in a decades-long marriage where he didn't even like made fun of her, laughed, didn't want her to laugh or make any sound, just suppressed. And we've all been around, people before, maybe we feel like our light was a threat to them, and so we make ourselves quieter and smaller. So she is now, graduated from that marriage, has her own place, and she is like self-expressed and liberated. They all have just like such extraordinary stories. Another woman came into the world not wanted, fundamentally kind of wasn't wanted. And so came into the world thinking that she just didn't matter, she didn't belong here, and has carried that into her 40s. And so her relationship with herself was transformed. Another woman, she woke up every morning feeling she didn't deserve joy because of mistakes that she'd made in her life, and just felt so deeply guilty that just felt like life punished me. And we've all done that. Like, we've made mistakes and thought maybe we don't deserve things. So all of them, it was like a returning, a reclamation of their joy, a rewiring of their minds. And one of the things that I find so deeply moving that we read about in spiritual texts, and like I've gotten to witness before my eyes, and that they all got to witness, that it's like when we enter the pain, like it's not like, oh, joy's over here and pain's over here. It's like when we enter whatever is arising, whatever pain of any form, we enter the anger, the trauma, the sadness, the despair, the frustration. It's like when we enter that doorway with love and intention, it's like that's the very doorway that guides us back home to who we are. And like just a part of us that's been longing to be seen, heard, loved, healed, freed, just updated and upgraded to play a different role. And so I think what it is, though, it's like underneath all of it, like when we clear out all the misunderstandings that we've picked up along the way about who we are and what's possible and what life means, people find joy. Like there's a part of joy that we cultivate and we learn practices. And then there's another part of it. It's like clearing all the things that have stood in the way to really find that like our true nature, and like there is love there is this luminosity there, and there is joy there. And it's just a continual every day, right? It's like all the illusions, all the fears, all the things that stand in the way. And so it's so beautiful just to witness. I mean, certainly what's possible and available. I think at the checkout, they're all like, I just didn't even think this was going to be possible in this lifetime to feel what I feel now. And so they came to a joy retreat, and then I had the great honor of working with them intimately for 30 days, doing private sessions that are all videotaped and will be part of this. And then we have our closing ceremony this Saturday, actually. So we'll all come together in person. And then we've been meeting every single morning, actually, doing dance parties and laughter and tapping. And so anyway, I could go on and on. I just have fallen in love with all of them. And the message is really like what's available for all of us. And even some of them said, well, if this is going to help me, it'll help anyone.
No.
Thanks for hearing that, Jen. And thank you so much to all of them. Yeah.
Well, for them to show up and be vulnerable and just be willing to share that experience, for others to be touched to them through the documentary is huge. Yeah. So like love and light to them for that. So would you say when you were talking, I was like, it sounds like these people all opted in, right? They were like, want to do this. So it's like, I was noticing, like, it sounds like the first step is just a willingness to say, I'm open to it being different, right? I'm open.
Yeah.
Would you say that? Is that congruent with how you see that?
Oh, for sure. For sure. It's like, we don't need to even know how to get there. Just like an opening, like, okay, I'm open to the possibility that maybe there is more available.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We
So
start
beautiful.
exactly where we are.
Will the documentary be out relatively soon? Is there a place for people to go to follow it? We can
Yeah.
put it in the show notes.
It'll probably be in 2026. It'll take some time. They've got over 100 hours of footage that someone's just coming in from New York City this weekend, actually, to pick up all the footage, and he'll start the editing process. So blessings to him as he does that. And then it'll probably be in early 2026. We're hoping to release it. So anybody who wants to come to joypotential.com and joins the mailing list, we'll certainly keep people posted. And may it just be really an opener of hope for people, and to see like, oh, okay, maybe there is, like we really do all have a joy potential inside of us that is just waiting to be uncovered.
Yes, amen. Well, I'm looking forward to it so much, and I know people listening in are too. So it's nice to have a way to stay connected to that. So blessings to the editing process and getting through all that footage, and we look forward to seeing the end product. I want to be mindful of our time here, because I also think you have some maybe like practical tips, some things to share with folks out there that they might want to start applying or experiencing or scavenger hunting with in their day. So we love to end the podcast with some think holistic tips. I think you have some, don't you?
Yes, yes, yes. Well, one thing that I love to look at is that we can really harvest joy from experiences that have already happened, from experiences that are happening in the moment, and also into the like in what's going to happen, which is such a gift because, if we miss it in one place, we'll be able to have it one of the other places. And so here are just concrete tips. So to harvest joy from what has already happened, we really get to give it a new empowering meaning. Like we miss so many things when life is occurring because of our negativity bias. Like we are wired for our survival to look at what's not working. So from neuroscience, we know that it has immediate impact when something challenging happens. But for something positive to actually get wired in, we have to hold it in the brain for 20 seconds. And so it's inevitable that we're going to miss things in the moment. And so the beauty of like reflect, this would be like when you're falling asleep at night or you're around the dinner table with family or you're taking a walk in the evening, whatever it might be, is to actually reflect on like all the beautiful things that happened that we would have missed in the moment, and to like really harvest and receive all the gifts from the day, and to realize that it requires us to do that. Like we could have the most wonderful, glorious life, but if we don't recognize it as such, it'll just pass right on by. One analogy that's used is our brains are like Velcro to negative experiences, but Teflon to positive experiences. And so if you had like 100 dogs that were friendly, but one dog that like snipped at you, our brain for our survival is going to hold on to that. Or 10 compliments and one critique, our brains hold on to that because it suggests that there's some weakness we want to be hyper aware of to ensure our survival. And so it requires us to like, let me scan the day and like, oh, right, there was this thing. Or after Brett and I love to do it, my husband and I, when we're driving home from, being out, like, oh, this positive, this thing happened. And we sort of like amplify the good in those moments. And so that's a wonderful practice you can do with another one. We love to ask each other, what went well today? And it's like in the asking each other back and forth, what went well today, that it's like in that moment, we awaken to all the things that went well, we would have otherwise missed. So it's okay if we miss it in the moment, we can still receive it. And then when we're in a moment, it's like to take a picture with all of our senses. So again, so much is going on that we miss. And so just to like, savor to really wire it in. And so like, okay, this is a beautiful moment right here that I'm having. How can I just like fully take it in? And then I call it get clear before you steer. So one of my favorite parts of the brain is the reticular activating system. And its purpose is to reveal to us what's most important to us. And so the only way our brain really knows what's important to us is what our dominant thoughts are. So for example, if you live downtown New York City, if you woke up for every like honking horn, you probably never get sleep. But if your baby cried in the other room, you're going to wake up. So that's because of our reticular activating system. It's like, oh, I know that sound is important, so I'm gonna make sure that wakes you up. But the honking horns, no big deal. We can keep you sleeping for that. And so that's the reticular activating system. And what this means in our everyday lives is that there are countless bits of information that we're hearing, seeing, smelling, all of our senses are taking in, but our brain's only going to reveal to us the things that are important to us. And so if we're not conscious, we might be going into a day or an experience like, oh, I'm dreading this. This is going to be such a bummer. And our brain's like, okay, I'm going to show you all the ways that this is a bummer. But if we get clear, like, okay, I want to spread kindness to everyone I meet today, or I want to open up to be awake to all the gifts and blessings of this life, of this day. I want to stay aligned with love, whatever it is. I want to stay centered in my heart. It could be absolutely anything. The moment we get clear before we enter into a future experience, we are then like dialing in our reticular activating system in our brain, like, okay, now I'm going to reveal to you all the experiences that are going to match that, which is truly happening it's happening on an energetic level, an emotional level, because of course what we focus on, we feel, but we also, it's going to truly change the reality that we see moment by moment. And so that's kind of like when something has happened in the moment, and then how to really set ourselves up to maximize joy as we're moving forward. So those are some tips. And then grow the good. I know it's going to be the theme of the keynote, which I'm so looking forward to. And that's just something so near and dear to my heart, especially in these times we're in, that I hear a lot of people experiencing just a lot of despair, discouragement about the world. And one little grow the good tip is to like use contrast to get really clear about who we want to be and how we want to show up, and then turn up the volume of that. So one takeaway is if there's somebody in your life, known or unknown, maybe you see them on social media, or maybe they're close to you and there's some quality that you find that you're judging or really struggling with. When we just focus on that, we can actually become more like it, and we can suffer And yeah, it tends to take us further from who we are and who we want to be. So for example, if we're experiencing unkindness, or dishonesty or selfishness, it's like, oh, realizing it reflects ultimately what we value. So we value generosity, kindness, honesty. So it's like, oh, come home to what we value and then turn up the volume of that. It's like, okay, I want to just grow that even bigger rather than shrinking when life gets challenging. It's like, how do we magnify what is good, so that life experiences are all allowing us to become even more of who we are and who we're capable of being.
I love
We'll have
that.
lots more of that to come at Wellbeing Fest.
Trust.
Thanks so
Yes.
much.
Yes, we have so been enjoying swirling in this grow the good theme that you brought forth, and we'll share with people as our opening keynote on Sunday, November 9th. So anyone can come into the event. We have free general admission. Our well-being VIPs do get the first front row seats that are available. And we welcome everyone to be with us. It will be a glorious day. We'll continue to grow the good on that day. We'll hear more from you and learn even more tips, right? In ways that we could be harvesting and harnessing that within our lives. And yeah, we invite you to join us. So you can follow us in the show notes. You can see how to follow Christine and the things that she has going on. You can see how to follow us at Indy Holistic Hub, as well as how to find Wellbeing Fest and details about that and get registered for that day on Sunday, November 9th. We will be in the Fishers, Indiana area, having a glorious time growing the good. So thank you, Christine, for being with me. I am just so deeply honored, and I'm looking so forward to being with you at Wellbeing Fest. Do you have anything final you'd like to say to everyone?
Yeah, such an honor and delight to be with you. And just that I'm so excited to see anybody who's inspired to join us. I know you have created a magical event. And so just so looking forward to seeing and hugging anybody who joins us then. And yeah, just so grateful. Big hugs. It's just so grateful to be on the journey with you all.
Amen. Amen. Everyone have a super blessed day. I also want to give a shout out of thanks to our title sponsor for the event, Holistic Dental Wellness of Carmel. And you can follow them as well in the show notes and learn more about their holistic dental practice. Be well, everybody. Sending everyone so much love.
Thank you for listening to the Think Holistic podcast by Indy Holistic Hub, a show designed to help you on your wellness journey. When you think holistic, you live holistic. To find holistic professionals near you, go to Indy Holistic.